Welcome to my first lecture on adaptive signal processing. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Rajiv Lochon Das. I did my PhD from IIT Kharagpur, India, and currently I am with DAIICT Gandhinagar. In this video, I'll give an introduction to adaptive filters. Now, first we'll consider why adaptive filters are required. Now, to proceed on this subject, first of all, I should say that you should have proper knowledge on signals and system to understand this course. And you can brush up your concept on signals and system. You can follow my videos on YouTube. Now, let us start this topic, adaptive filters. And you know that in signal systems, we consider a system, okay, and mostly we'll consider LTI system, linear time invariant system, okay. And for discrete system, the input applied to the LTI system will consider x of n, that is sequence, and we'll get the output sequence yn. And here we have assumed this thing, that is linear and time invariant. And this is the important concept here, time invariant. And if it is LTI, then we can get this yn as the summation, the convolution between this impulse response of LTI system and input sequence xn. Now, the impulse response of LTI system we write in this form. So this is the impulse response h, and these coefficients will mention here. Those are h naught, h0, h1, and up to h of l minus 1. So the system length equals to L, we have considered, right? So we need to take convolution between these and x of n, right? So that we write in this form, that this is h of sub k. So suffix we will consider here. So instead of h of n, generally we are considering in L signals and system, and this x of n, so that is relate x of n minus k. Then we will sum it up for k equals to this 0 to L minus 1. Because it is a finite length, only L coefficients are there, so we can sum up to for L coefficients only, right? So this is notation we will use for discrete LTI system, right? Now, if it is time invariant, then we can estimate these parameters h0, h1 up to h of L minus 1 if the input and output pairs are given, right? But if the system is time varying, okay, means the characteristics of the system is varying over time, in that case you have to estimate the parameter in a regular way, in a regular interval, time of intervals. Because once you will estimate the parameters, that estimation may not work for the next time, because system is varying over time. In that case, you have to use some adaptive algorithm to estimate the system parameters. So in short, what I am saying that for time varying system, so important concept is that for time varying systems, we have to use some adaptive algorithms which will work with time. Okay, so we have to use these adaptive algorithms. Now, the time varying system could be again linear and nonlinear, and based on this, we can have linear adaptive algorithms or nonlinear adaptive algorithms. But in this course, we'll mostly focus on linear adaptive filters. Okay, and I'll give you some application of adaptive filters not only for the system identifications. So let us start with that. So first one that I told you that it is called system identification. So we have one unknown system that is commonly called plant as well. Okay, so this is your system and this is unknown to us. Now, to understand this system, to characterize this system, we'll apply certain input and we'll receive certain output from the plants. Okay, so this input, suppose it is x of n, and corresponding output is, here we are calling it d of n. Okay, so d here stands for desired sequence. Xn is the input sequence, system input sequence, and dn is actually system output, the unknown system output, and we'll call it desired sequence. Now, to estimate these system parameters, we'll use adaptive algorithms to find those parameters. Okay, means those system coefficients is 0, h1, h2, all those things, and here we will assume that those coefficients can vary over time. Okay, right, so we will discuss the system identification problem in our course in detail. Though these adaptive algorithms will be used can be used for different applications, we will focus on the system identification problem in this course. And I hope if you have knowledge on the system identification problem, you can easily extend that idea to other applications. Now, let us see the other applications. Another one is inverse system identification. So, here the object is little bit different. Suppose this is the plant or system, right? Now we need to find out the inverse of this system. Okay, suppose one application is that channel equalizer. So in communication, the system the channel we can consider as a system. Then when the input signal or the signal is passing through the channel, then the signals is getting some distortions. Then we can remove those distortion using some equalizer technique. So this inverse system is nothing but equalizer. So we need to estimate the system coefficients for this inverse system. That is the objective here. So to do these things, what we'll do? So we'll consider the input of this adaptive algorithm is this one, the U. And this U is actually the output of your system. For earlier example, it is channel, suppose. So if I consider this is a channel, a communication channel, wireless channel, then this inverse, we can call it equalizer. Okay. Now, the output of this channel that is fed to the equalizer and the exact input of the channel that is delayed by certain amount, and then it is compared with the output of the system equalizer, and we are expecting that this equalizer will produce the same input whatever we are going to transmit, or we are transmitted to the channel, right? So we want the same signal at the output of the equalizer. Means, so it could be delayed version of the input. So DN actually delayed version of your actual input, and we'll compare with the delayed version of input with the current output of the equalizer, and if Y and D are matching, then we can say that we are getting the proper output, distortion less output from our equalizer, but only thing is that this output is delayed little bit compared to the exact input, and that could be acceptable for certain time, okay, for certain applications, right? So this is one application, that inverse system identification problem. So I can give you one or two problem examples later for this inverse system identification. Next one application is prediction. So we can use this adaptive algorithm to predict the future signals, no? So based on the previous sequence, we can predict the future sequence, future sample. So the technique is that, first of all, that signal is delayed a little bit by certain amount, suppose k. So if it is x of n, then this u is basically x of n minus k, and here this result signal is same as x of n. So we'll use certain adaptive algorithm to get xn from x of n minus k, or in other words, from previous inputs or past input, we want to get the future sequence x of n. Okay, so that is the concept of prediction. So based on previous sequence, we have to get future one. So here you see, with respect to xn, this x of n minus k, these are past inputs. So based on these past inputs, I want to get this x of n. That means we are actually predicting the signal x of n from previous samples. Okay, so this is called prediction. And adaptive filter can be used for noise cancellation. The concept here is that, suppose you have one signal, primary signal, suppose that is your x of n, but with this you have certain noise, right? And that noise is, suppose I am calling it v1 of n, right? Now if you have certain reference signal about the noise, if you have, suppose b2n is a noise, a similar noise corresponding to this noise, whatever it is added with your in your primary signal. So these two, v1 and v2, they are similar, but okay, v1 could be different from this v2 with some amplitude, different amplitude. Suppose I can write alpha times of n multiplied by v2, and it could be a delayed version of that, maybe say n minus n naught. Okay, so these two noise, they will differ by certain amplitudes, okay, that can vary over time as well, and also they can have different phase shift. okay, sample shift, right? So in this case our objective is to remove this noise. So you wish to remove this noise, and I want to get x of n here. So this is the objective. For that we'll be using adaptive algorithm, and you will see this yn, if the yn is very close to this signal, okay, whether this yn, if yn is close to this v1 of n, right, then this d minus v1 of n will give you x of n, right? So just think here that from this v to n I wish to get a similar signal which is close to v1n, that is the purpose, and then the difference v minus v1n will give you x of n. So actually we wish to get v1n from v2n using adaptive algorithms, and that v1n will be cancelled from this primary signal, and we will get the pure x of n, desired signal, right? Now a simple subtraction will not work, because if you want to subtract this x of n plus v1f minus v2n, if you do that one, then v1n and v2n will not cancel, because they will differ by certain amplitude as well as phase shift. So you will get different noise, okay? So but adaptive filter will help you to cancel that noise v1n from the signal x of n. Okay, this is a good application, noise cancellation. Okay, now we will start our discussion on adaptive algorithms, and I will consider system identification problem in this course. Okay, so let us start. Okay, now you see, if I consider one system like this for system identification problem, that this is your input sequence x of n, and I have certain unknown system. That unknown system will model in this way, and you see this unknown system could be linear, nonlinear, but it is obviously it is a time varying system that we are assuming. So this unknown system, suppose it could be modeled as a linear system with these optimum parameters, filter coefficients. I will call it W opt, and I will consider one bar here, underscore here, to indicate that it's a vector quantity or it is containing those filter coefficients, which I will discuss in detail. Just wait. And these systems, in the system, there could be some observation noise. Those are additive that I'll assume here. So this is the noise Vn that is added with this one, right? So this is the unknown system. Okay. And our target is to estimate these coefficients W opt. Okay, system coefficients. This is the objective, okay, for the system identification problem. And we'll consider this output of this unknown system as D of n. D stands for desired sequence, okay, desired. And now to estimate this system, unknown system, this system, what we will do, we'll use a filter okay, and this filter coefficients I'll consider W of n, okay, and here we'll assume that the structure is FIR, finite impulse response, and also we'll assume that the length of the unknown system is same as this FIR system length, okay. Though for unknown system it is very difficult, sometimes it is difficult to get the knowledge about the system length. So in that case what we'll do, we'll go for the higher system length. So if you start with the higher system length, it is fine because suppose the actual length of the optimum filter is suppose 100, but if you go for 110, so first 100 coefficients it will try to follow, and rest 10 it will just put zeros. Then there is no problem at all. But if you work with lesser length, then there will be some error, truncation error. Okay. So this is your FIR structure that I'll discuss. Now, same input x of n is applied to this filter coefficients Wn, and suppose it will produce a output sequence y of n. And now I'll compare these two. Okay, so this here I'll consider, so this is actually subtractor. Okay, so this is plus and this one is minus. So this difference will give you the error signal E of n. It is basically D of n minus Y of n, right? Now based on this error, we'll try to tune these filter coefficients. So we'll show in this way. Okay, this arrow indicates that, so this arrow indicates that the coefficients of this filter is tuned over time based on certain principles, some algorithms. Those are called adaptive algorithms, right? Now, let me discuss about these filter structures of this one. So I think we have got this point. No? This x of n we are considering input, and y of n is the output of our filter, FIR filter coefficient Wn, and the unknown system output is d of n, and Vn is the observation noise. This V of n is called observation noise, which is additive in this case that we have considered, right? Okay, now let me consider this filter structure first of all. So if I consider one transversal filter, okay, that we have shown that the system is, suppose first time we will consider that the system is time invariant, linear and time invariant. In that case, we can consider one system H, suppose, and this is those coefficients H0, H1 up to H of L minus 1, right? And the Xn is the input sequence for this system. So this is now LTI system. So this output Yn we can write as the convolution between these two sequences. So as it is finite length, so we'll go for this way. That is H of k, H sub k, and X of n minus k. Okay, and k will start from 0 to L minus 1. So if you expand this, so with k equal to 0, so it is h0, and the multiplication multiplied with x of n, then h of 1, then x of n minus 1, like that, and you will go get h of L minus 1, x of n minus L plus 1, right? So if you draw this filter in transversal form, then you see it will look like this. This is the sequence x of n. Now with this current sample x of n, h naught should be multiplied, and that I'll show it here. It's a multiplier, okay, and it should be multiplied with h naught, right? So here you will get this h naught times x of n. Now second term, to get the second term, I need to get the previous sample x of n minus 1. To get the previous sample, I want one delay element. So that is the delay element. We'll consider D flip-flop. Okay, we can use D flip-flop to get a delay, simple delay. Okay, so one sample delay I want to get, then I will get here x of n minus 1, and that x of n minus 1 should be multiplied with this h of 1, right? So this output is h1 times, this is your h1 times x of n minus 1. So similarly, you can extend this idea, okay? So you should have several delay elements, then at the end you will get, suppose, x of n minus L plus 1, right? And that you should multiply with the last filter coefficients h of L minus 1. Okay, so this output is your h of L minus 1, x of n minus L plus 1, right? Now we are going to add all the components. So I need simply adder, right? Oh, then the output of this one, you see, this is your output sequence y of n. Okay, so this structure we will be using in our course. Fine, and you see here we have assumed that it is a LTI system, but if it is not a LTI system, linear but time varying system, in that case what we will do, we will consider these coefficients. We assume that those coefficients can vary over time, means those are function of n, right? So it's not at right now constant, it can vary over time. So the same model will be using with time varying system coefficients, right? So you see, for our filters, FIR filter, so we have considered this is our FIR filter, and coefficients are Wn. So what I mean, so Wn actually those coefficients W sub 0, and it can vary over time, is function of n. Then second coefficients W1 of n, like that, up to WL minus 1 and of n, right? And our input is x of n and output is y of n. And see here, we are considering that it is a time varying, okay, time varying system coefficients. But again, we can write this yn as that summation, right? Means suppose w0n times x of n plus w1 of n times x of n minus 1. So be careful here, okay? So this here n is remaining constant, so this is n always, because it is at nth iteration or nth time index. This is the filter coefficient values, and in this way it will be wl minus 1 of n, and that time it will be x of n minus l plus 1. And this we can write in this form, that w0n, w1n, this one up to wl minus 1 of n, right? And if I consider this is a vector, it's a row vector, then if I consider a column vector, right, and those column vectors elements are x of n minus 1, like that, and x of n minus l plus 1. Then you see, this is basically a dot product. It's a matrix multiplication, one row vector with a column vector. Then product will be w0 times x of n, w1 times x of n minus 1, like that, corresponding multiplication, and then addition. Okay, so this convolution process we'll rewrite in this form, and then we'll call this one as that vector wn and its transpose. Basically, I'll consider wn as a column vector. So this row vector is a transpose of that column vector, and this one I'll consider xn vector. So be careful here. Whenever I put one underscore, that means I want to indicate it's a vector. But if there is no underscore, that means it's a sample. So this vector will contain L number of samples, and those are nothing but the current sample and past samples. Those are arranged sequentially. So first L number of samples, current sample and past L minus 1 samples are stacked together to get this vector xn, right? So if I define in that way, then obviously we can write that this yn as the w transpose n times xn vector. So this convolution process we can compute as a dot product between these two vectors wn and x of n, right? So you see, so this wn actually, this is actually this column vector, and w0n, w1n, like that, up to wl minus 1 of n. And x of n, already I have said, is a vector. Be careful. So it's current, it starts from the current sample x of n, then previous samples x of n minus 1, x of n minus 2, all those things, and up to x of n minus l plus 1, right? So, and this is called regressor vector. Okay, so to get the output of the filter, just we need to take dot product between these two, or inner product between these two vectors, then we will get the y of n. So similarly, so you see y of n is the dot product. So one transpose and xn or we can take this one first, no problem at all. I can consider X transpose of n followed by Wn, right? Because both are column vector and same dimension, we can take this one, this dot product, right? So you see, what we have considered for system harmonics problem, we have considered that there is one unknown system. This is your W optimum. stands for optimum one. Okay, this is one vector of same length L, and here this observation noise Vn is added, and we are getting this Dn. So this input sequence is same, X of n. And you will see here we have used our filter, that is your Wn, and this is your output Yn. And Yn we have written as this W transpose n times Xn vector, right? And here Dn now. So what is the output of this one here? So same input is applied. So I can write that Dn actually, it is filtered through these optimum coefficients. So W optimum coefficients, that vector transpose. But here we are considering that this is for time being, it is not time varying, but it can vary over time. Okay, but I am not writing function of n right now. So W of time transpose times X of n vector plus Vn. Okay, and then we'll compare these two. This is plus, this is minus, and this is your error signal E of n. And using this error signal, we wish to tune this Wn so that this Wn will follow this W oft coefficients. Okay, so every adaptive algorithm will have certain objective, and the objective is that this filter coefficients, this FIR coefficient Wn will follow this optimum filter coefficients. Okay, so in other words, we can say that this Wn limit n tends to infinity, right? After certain after long time, at least it will try to follow this W oft. Okay, but thing is that as it is adaptive, every time it will fluctuate. Okay, it is added something. Okay, so we can't expect that it will exactly match, but at least if it's on an average, if it is very close to this optimum one, then we are done. Means this expected value of Wn, if it is same as W oft, then it is a good adaptive algorithm, right? So this is the objective. Now to estimate this unknown coefficients W oft, we need to tune this Wn in every iteration, right? And for that, there should be some principles, and to get the desired update rules, we'll start with some cost function. So we should have certain cost function. Okay, we'll define certain cost function depending on our criteria, desired criteria. Suppose if I want to make that system will be faster, means it will try to learn this W oft. So we have to design such a cost function so that it will update quickly. So cost function is the important point in adaptive algorithm. Okay, so one cost function we can consider that, suppose that I'll call kn. At nth index, the cost is, suppose I can consider expected value of error square. That could be one choice. Sometimes we can consider absolute of expected value of en, right? Or simply en also we can minimize, or we can make error 0 perfectly. Okay, there are different conditions. So based on this, your cost function, you will get your update rule. Okay, but all the adaptive algorithms, almost all the adaptive algorithms will follow one general structure. So from previous weight, suppose you had one weight function w of n, and with this we'll add one correction term. Okay, to get a better estimate, and that I'll call it wn plus 1. Okay, so with your current weight, you have to add certain correction term so that wn plus 1 is approaching toward w oft, okay, in every iteration, or on an average way it is going towards w oft. Okay, now depending on this correction terms, we'll have different algorithms. Okay, so in this introduction I can just give you some introduction about the algorithms. So first one is most popular one, the least mean square, and it is commonly known as, in short it is called LMS algorithm. Okay, and for this update rule, okay, it is very simple, and it says that this wn plus 1 is obtained from wn with adding this correction term, that is mu times en is that error sequence times that regressor vector x of n. So this is your correction term here. And what is the cost function for that? That I'll discuss later. Okay, and we'll derive this mean square algorithm in future videos. Okay, and this mu is called step size or learning rate. In adaptive filtering, we'll call it step size. So if you choose mu higher, then this correction term with larger magnitude will be added with wn, and you can expect that, okay, algorithm will converge quickly, but it may not happen always. If it's too large, then algorithm may diverge as well. So there is certain condition on mu, then only the algorithm will converge, otherwise it will diverge. Okay, so that range also will provide you, and we will compute that range as well. But one thing is that if you choose very small value for the step size, then the update rule is slow, the update process is slow. But if you choose higher step size, then you can speed up the learning rate, right? But again, when mu is low, you can get very accurate result. Accuracy is better. Whereas if you choose larger value of mu, then accuracy is less. So mu is actually can be used as a trade-off between these two, the speed and accuracy, right? And those will be discussed in detail later. So this is one popular algorithm, least mean square algorithm. And next one, normalized least mean square algorithm. Okay, and in short it is called NLMS, normalized LMS algorithm. And the update rule is very similar. This Wn plus 1, with Wn you have to add this correction term, again step size mu and En and xn vector, but here there is a normalization factor, the norm2 square of xn will be divided from this one. It's normalized by this factor, and sometimes this value could be very low, and that time this factor will be very large. To avoid that one, so we'll put one constant here, that would be we call it epsilon, to avoid divisible by 0. Okay, because whenever this value is close to 0, then this value will become very large. Okay, then the algorithm may diverge. Okay, to avoid that situation, we'll put some epsilon, a constant, small value constant value. Okay, so typically this small value epsilon could be 0.001, like that. Okay, now this is the norm2 square, and you know that norm2 square xn, this vector norm2 square, is simply the square element of all those things. So x of n, that square, plus x of n minus 1, that square, and x of n minus 2, that square, and you will sum it up all up to L samples. Okay, n minus L plus 1. Okay, so this is normalized by this factor because of this, and you will see that we will get certain advantage over least mean square algorithm, especially this mu. Now the mu, this algorithm will converge with certain range, and that is fixed. With the range mu is 0 and up to 2, it will converge always. Whereas for least mean square algorithm, this mu will depend on again the input statistics. But here the step size is independent of, the range of the step size is independent of input statistics. Right? So that is one advantage over and again this NLMS algorithm will perform better for colored input. So that we will discuss later. And similarly, you can have some other algorithms like proportionate, normalized, least mean square, so in short it is called PNLMS algorithm. And here the update rule is a little modified. So Wn plus 1 is Wn plus the correction term now, it's a mu times, and we will put here one gain matrix G of n. Okay, with then we will consider, okay, mu n we can write later xn vector and then en, right? So Gn, capital G is a matrix, right? And here we'll consider X transpose N, Gn and Xn, this plus some normalization constant epsilon P I can write, right? Where G is your gain matrix that we wish to give, okay, because for some coefficients we want that it should grow quickly, and this algorithm is used for sparse system. So we'll be using is for sparse systems, means where the many coefficients of the system coefficients are 0, only very few coefficients are non-zero. So those non-zero coefficients should grow quickly, and zero coefficients can be neglected a little bit. So we want to give some priority to those non-zero coefficients. Those are called active taps. So we'll discuss in detail later, right? So similarly, we can have several other algorithms like affine projection algorithm. Okay, in short it is called APA, and one more algorithm is recursive least square. Okay, this is called RLS algorithm. So in this course we will be discussing all the algorithms one by one, and I will give you the cost function from where it is derived, and we will obtain the update rules for each algorithm, right? So now my research area is adaptive filters, okay, and I have following transaction papers on IEEE, and mostly I am working on for part system identification. And you see this paper, first paper, is on proportionate type normalized Minsky algorithm and its convergence analysis that I had done. So you can follow that paper, you'll be following those papers, okay. It was published in 2015, and I got one more paper on 2016, that is improving the performance of PLMS algorithm using L1 norm regularization technique. So we have improved the basic performance of PLMS algorithm by adding one L1 norm penalty with this basic cost function of PLMS algorithm. That will be discussed in this course. And I got one paper on adaptive algorithms for impulsive noise environment, okay. That was published in 2017, and I got one more paper that is again improving on this PLMS algorithm, on this IPLMS, this L1 norm penalty what we have used earlier. Now here we have used one upper threshold criteria to choose proper gain function that gives G of n. No, so this gain function is that gain function G of n. So here work was on to design that G of n. Okay, so I hope if you go through this course, you will learn about this topic, these research areas, and if you wish to do research and if you wish to collaborate with me, it is welcome. Okay, so please subscribe my channel and follow my future lectures, and we will be discussing all the algorithms sequentially. So in the next video, we will be discussing the optimal filters. Thank you.